Hi everyone, Christy Maggio here, and today I want to talk to you all about momentum. When we think of momentum, we often thinking of like speed. And so when I was asked to do a 10-minute video on momentum, I really had to think about it. Because momentum is really movement. And the more speed you have, the more momentum you have. However, when you think about it, there needs to be a catalyst in order to gain momentum in doing anything. A lot of times you think of science, you think of a ball rolling. And for a ball to gain more momentum, you would think, okay, well maybe we'll make it go down a hill. Because then as it moves further and further down the hill, the faster it goes and the more momentum it has. Or if you push the ball, you use force to give the ball more momentum. So in thinking about momentum and applying it to your life, how do you gain momentum and how do you keep momentum? And so when thinking about it, I had to think about, well, first, there has to be some catalyst, something that makes you act and want you to move forward in the first place. You know, there's the old saying, a body at rest stays at rest, a body in motion stays in motion, right? So if you are a person who doesn't have momentum, you're not moving forward right now, you're kind of stuck, you need something, that catalyst that's going to push you or force you forward. And then once you start getting momentum, ultimately you then keep on going in motion and you keep moving, right? So a lot of times I'm going to use the story of when I first started my school, because I think it's a great story. Because a lot of times people say to me, well, Christy, how do you keep on going? How do you keep doing these things? How do you do everything? And, you know, I think the easiest part about it is that I have already a lot of momentum. And then the desire, the motivator, the catalyst, so to speak, was the fact that I wanted it so bad. So when you really want something and you really want to achieve something and you have that why behind it that pushes you to just keep going and build more and more momentum behind it, that is the key to getting started in anything. So for me, it was the vision. Okay, first, it was the idea of being my own boss. Okay, but I could be my own boss in anything. I could choose any business. I could start a store. I could open a store. I can, do marketing. My choice was a school. Okay, and so that's what I love. I love to teach. I love helping children. And so what better way to start your own business would be than to start a school. So that was my initial desire. However, it didn't come to fruition for 3 years. So I had to start building that momentum. And I actually did this in the Dominican Republic. So I didn't go there with the idea of starting a school. I went there with the idea that I was going to go there for 1 year, perfect my Spanish, come back to the U.S., and get an inner city school job to help children here back in the U.S. But I saw an opportunity, and so I took that opportunity. However, I didn't have the money initially to seize that opportunity. So I had to start working and saving. So I worked little by little, started tutoring out of my own home, and I did that for 3 years before I was able to start the school, with only 7 children. Now, even when I started the school with only 7 children, I had to continue doing multiple different jobs because I didn't have the money to pay the couple of teachers and keep the school going. So because I had that initial motivator, let's picture the motivator, the desire that I really wanted this as the force. In order to keep your momentum, you have to have something that keeps pushing you, right? Pushing you forward. And so the idea of having this school, making it successful, and to be honest, ultimately proving everybody wrong that told me that I was crazy and insane for doing this, those were my catalysts. Those are my motivators. Those are what kept pushing the force onto me to keep that momentum going. Okay? And so that first school year, I was doing everything. I was making lunches for the kids. I was doing transportation. I was still tutoring privately out of my own home, my own clients, and I had a couple of teachers in the school doing teaching because it was only pre-kindergarten through first grade. Okay? So, and I had 7 students to start with. I ended the year with 14 students. I found a bigger location and I got more students, word of mouth, and so then your momentum keeps building. Why? Because you're doing a great job and you see the growth. You see the things starting to scale. And so then you get a few more teachers. However, there is something that can cause you to keep on building that momentum. However, there's oftentimes what people do to try and save money, which I'm sure many of you have done before. You often wear all of the hats. So because other people don't do things as well as you do, right? And so I wanted everything to be perfect and nobody could do it as good as I did it. So let's keep that in mind. As my momentum keeps going, 2nd year, school's open. 3rd year, the school's open. I'm wearing more and more hats. I'm keeping all of the control and start to make plans to build a bigger school. COVID hits, and how do you stop momentum? There has to be a giant force that stops momentum. Well, I got pushed back, and because I was wearing all of the hats, when that happened, I did not know what to do. And so at that point in time, when people say that when you own a business and you need to have people on your team because you can't do everything. And so when something drastic happens, like the situation with many, that was my one big lesson. I needed a solid team, and I didn't have a solid team because I didn't build one. Not because I didn't want to. It's just nobody for me was as good as me. However, when it came time, I was all alone. And then I didn't pivot fast enough. Okay? So that's number 2. And these are all lessons that we learn. However, I kept my momentum. It hit me, sideswiped me, stopped the momentum, but I still kept pushing and pushing and pushing. But then what happens? Sometimes you're pushing at too many different things, and so you don't put the full momentum in one area. And that's what happened to me. However, a lot of great things came out of it. Okay? I learned how to make my own videos and edit my own videos. I learned how to do a podcast. I wrote a book, okay? One of my greatest achievements over COVID that's about to come out October 30th. That is huge. So while my momentum shifted in a different direction, I still kept building it. and the rest of it will eventually come. So what is the big takeaway here? Sometimes in thinking of momentum and how to keep it going, you really need something within you that's going to continue driving you, that's going to continue pushing you forward even when you want to stop. And for me, and I always say this, it's because I love what I do. So everything that I do already has great momentum within it, because I don't do hard work. I do heart work. Everything I do comes from my heart. I love it, and therefore everything that comes out of it, even in the good times, the bad, the difficult times, I still find the momentum and the will within me to keep pushing forward. So that is my 10-minute video on, maybe even a little longer, momentum and how to keep momentum and why it's so important. But the one very important key point is, in order to get the momentum going, you have to have the driver, the catalyst that makes you want to continue to push forward. So whatever it is that's your purpose, your why, you need to have that to make you want to continue to keep going and have more and more momentum. So, thanks for listening.